Hello, everyone. Welcome to Diego Knows. I am Diego. And today I'm going to finish up with part two of my video on the Kevin Smith documentary, Clerk, which came out this year, 2021. Now, in part one, I talked a lot about my own experiences with Kevin Smith, his movies, how they affected me, and I try to kind of like set the stage of what life was like back then, when those movies came out, and just how much of a cultural impact that Kevin Smith had on my generation. I mean, he really was the voice of our generation at that time. I was a huge Kevin Smith fan, huge. I think I've made that pretty clear, and I followed everything that he did. I followed him all the way up to Zack and Mira Make a Porno. Like I said before, I went to the American premiere of that one, and then after he followed that up with, I'm trying to remember, the next movie after that. I think it was, gosh, I think that movie didn't do very well, even though I enjoyed it. I remember seeing it again. I mean, I kept going to the theater over and over to see it. I even took a girl with me once to go see it after I'd already seen it three times. I took her to go see it because she hadn't seen it. So yeah, so I enjoyed the movie a lot. But then, like I said before, that was when Kevin Smith got introduced to weed by Seth Rogen, and that's when I think the downhill spiral started. I think that's when he started circling the drain. Was right there because the next movie he did after that was Red State, I believe. Now, the reason I say I believe that is because I never saw it. Okay, I never saw Red State. I really had no interest in it. I remember when he was promoting the movie that it was going to be outside of the View Askew universe. It was going to be more of a serious movie. I still don't really know what it's about. I think it's just about like a church pastor or something, and some sort of a standoff with guns. Just another one of those, like how Hollywood views Republicans, like they're all a bunch of Bible Belt, gun owners, and or whatever. But honestly, I don't know what the movie was about. I kind of know some of the people that were in it, but I don't know for sure what it's about, so I can't really comment on that movie. But like I said, the fact that I didn't see it, a huge Kevin Smith fan, that should say something right there. Okay, a lot of people didn't see it. Okay, a lot of people didn't see it. It was a low budget political movie, and you really back at that time, the early teens, I believe it was maybe 2012 or something like that, or 2011, 2013, somewhere around that time. That's really not political movies aren't really what they are today. Today, everything's political, but back then, it wasn't so much, and nobody really wanted to see that. It was just it just didn't appeal to anybody. Luckily, it was made for a low budget, so I don't think anybody really lost money. But the movie didn't make money. A lot of people didn't see it. Kevin Smith was, and I don't blame him for it. He's trying to do an adult movie. He's trying to make a serious movie. Not a dick and farts jokes movie. He's trying to make a serious movie about political issues. About the right and gun ownership and the Bible and all this kind of stuff. And just like nobody liked it. Nobody went to go see it. I wasn't interested in it. It might be a very good movie. I don't know. I haven't seen it yet, and I might not see it. I don't know. But it wasn't really something that appealed to his fan base. Those of us that grew up watching his movies, this wasn't it. All right, so I can't really comment on that. I know he did a Bruce Willis movie. He did a studio movie, a big budget Hollywood movie with Bruce Willis. I think it was called Cop Out. And I never saw that movie either. Okay, I'm sure it was a generic Hollywood funny movie, and Bruce Willis was a star. And I do remember that, when Kevin Smith was talking about it, he said that Bruce Willis was the biggest nightmare he ever had to work with. He said he worked with Bruce Willis on Die Hard, on Live Free, Die Hard, where he had a role in that movie. But when he directed Bruce Willis in Cop Out or Copland or Cop Out, yeah, he said it was a nightmare. This guy was just a prima donna, rewriting the script on his own, just doing his own takes, acting like the director, just totally undermining Kevin Smith's authority on the set. And Kevin Smith has gone on the record that he never ever wants to work with Bruce Willis again, ever. I mean, he was that much of a just an asshole. And I believe I never met Bruce Willis or anything, but I believe it. When you're a star like Bruce Willis, or like he was back then, not so much now. Now he's just doing straight to DVD movies. Okay, he's up there with Nicolas Cage. Okay, but back in the day, in the '80s, '90s, I mean, Bruce Willis was a big name. I mean, you had to shell out a lot of money to get Bruce Willis in a movie. Okay, if he was in that movie, they spent a lot of money on that movie. It was a big budget Hollywood movie. Okay, it wasn't some independent, low budget, straight to DVD, generic, terrorist cop drug dealer shit that he does today. Okay, he was a big deal back in the day. Yeah, and he was at the height of that egotism when Kevin Smith directed him in Copland or Cop Out. So I never saw it. So I really don't know if it's any good. I know it didn't make any money at the theater. I remember seeing a poster for it when it came out, but I didn't go see it. I think I forgot that Kevin Smith directed it. I found out later on they directed it. So there's that. The next movie he did was Tusk. Okay, and Tusk, guys, Tusk is a piece of shit. It is, and it breaks my heart to say this about Kevin Smith, because that was the first Kevin Smith movie that I saw that I just absolutely hated. I mean, I just hated it. I mean, I sat through the whole thing. I did. It's not the worst movie I've ever seen. Like I never made it through Rocky Horror Picture Show. Okay, I got within an hour of that movie and I turned that shit off. Okay, I was getting sick watching it. Okay, I've seen some pretty shitty movies. Okay, I'm gonna do a video of my top 5 worst movies I've ever seen. Okay, and these are movies that I sat through. I watched the entire goddamn thing. Okay, I put myself through that. All right, Tusk was not on there, but it might make my top 10, maybe my top 15. I didn't like Tusk for a lot of reasons. I mean, I like Justin Long. He's a good actor. He's funny. They had Haley Joel Osment. The kid from The Sixth Sense. Remember, I see dead people. He's a grown up now. And the characters weren't likable to begin with. If you're gonna do a movie about a guy getting tortured and then his friends trying to save him, you gotta like the people that are in the movie. First of all, you gotta like those characters so that you can root for them. You gotta like the protagonist so that you can hope that he gets out of his situation. You gotta like his friends, his girlfriend and his best friend who are trying to save him. They're looking for him. He went missing. They're trying to find out what's going on with him. He's being tortured by this guy. They're looking for him. You want them to find him. Because these characters care about them. But I didn't give a shit. Not only did I not give a shit about any of the main characters, I didn't even like the main characters. I mean, you got his girlfriend and his best friend they're always talking about, oh, well, I love him, I gotta find him, I'm so worried. I was like, if you're so worried, if both of you are so worried about this guy, then why are you guys fucking each other behind his back? It's like, what the hell? When the hell did you grow a conscience all of a sudden? Fuck you. You guys don't care about him. Oh, but we love him. Get the fuck out of here. And then Justin Long's character, he's like this egomaniac who can't see what the fuck's going on. All he cares about is his career. He doesn't care about anybody else. He cares about himself and nobody else. So I don't really feel that bad for him. I don't. He's not like the greatest guy in the world. He's not like some guy that, you're just like, oh God, he's such a good guy. This is terrible what's happening to him. It's like, no, he's an asshole and he's got asshole things happening to him. I'm sorry, but he does, and the movie made no sense. And I haven't even told you about the bad guy yet. So yeah, I didn't care about anybody in that movie. I didn't even like them. So how are you going to get me to want to see what happens, to care about what happens to them? There's a part of me that's kind of happy what's happening to them. It's like, okay, the movie's pointless. It's just it's like I said, he got stoned and he decided that, hey, let's get a movie about a fucking guy that turns into a walrus. Yeah. Oh yeah. And then he did it. And I think he was stoned the entire time he was directing it. I think he was stoned the entire time he wrote it. And I think he was stoned when he premiered it. Because he didn't really... I think he lost touch of what the edge that he had. He made fun of stoners. He wasn't supposed to be one. He made fun of drug addicts. He wasn't supposed to be one. It was very well publicized that his partner in crime, Jason Mewes, Jay, was a recovering drug addict. Like he had attempted suicide several times, overdosed. This was all well documented. He had a big time problem with drugs. Big time. If your best friend, your partner in these movies has a drug problem, okay, that you know about, and I'm not talking about weed either. I'm talking about like heroin and shit and cocaine, okay? When your friend, your buddy, your partner in these movies has a problem with substances, like a serious problem, okay, you don't want to be fucking smoking weed around him. Jay was in and out of rehab. And Kevin Smith is fucking getting pro marijuana shit. I can only imagine all the times he was smoking weed in front of Jay. And Jay's like, You don't. That's not a healthy friendship there. So, and I know a lot about substance abuse. Okay, so like that's not the kind of those are the friends that you don't want to be around. When you're trying to get sober. You don't want to hang out with potheads when you're a recovering drug addict, when you're trying to recover from this stuff. Just like if you're alcoholic, you don't want to be hanging out with drunks, all the time. Because it's a lot easier for you to slip up and go back to it, especially when you try so hard to get out of it. So I can only understand, the kind of friendship that Jay and Kevin Smith were having now. One guy's totally getting stoned all the time. The other one's trying to keep off the drugs. I mean, it must be a horrible situation to be in. It is definitely a terrible situation to be making movies in. And I think that's kind of what happened to Kevin Smith. He just threw himself into this stuff. His movies weren't doing well. So Hollywood didn't really want to employ him anymore. As far as making movies, he would have to come up with the money himself. And who wanted to take a chance on the guy that wrote and directed Tusk? Okay, he did another movie after that, which was also abysmal. I'm sorry, it was abysmal. Okay, I was bored out of my mind. I saw the whole thing, but I don't even remember what it was about or what happens in it. I just remember a couple of things. And that movie was called Yoga Hosers, and it's the same cast from Tusk. Same cast from Red State. Harley Quinn, his daughter, is now she had a cameo playing a clerk, with her best friend, Lily Rose Depp, Johnny Depp's daughter. Yeah, they were clerk. There was a scene in Tusk where Justin Long's character goes into the convenience store in Canada, and the two clerks working there are, Harley Quinn Smith and her best friend, Lily Rose Depp. Okay, the children of Kevin Smith and Johnny Depp. Okay, and they're there, and of course, they're on their phones, they're doing their own shit, not paying attention to the customers. They're basically the male version of Dante and Randall from the Clerks movies, okay? But this time they got their own movie. So they were the stars of this movie, okay, called Yoga Hosers. And I saw it, and the first thing I realized about this movie was he made this movie for his daughter. He wrote a movie for his daughter. And her best friend is Johnny Depp's daughter. So, okay, but now they're adults now, and they made the movie. And he's trying to do Clerks again, but with girls this time. And the humor just doesn't really land because the things that guys are interested in are not the same things that girls are interested in. Sometimes they are, but for the most part, girls are into other stuff. They'll make jokes about other things. You see what I mean? But this genre mostly caters towards boys. So if you're gonna make a genre, if there's a genre about dick and fart jokes, about smoking weed and sex and, and movie references and stuff, and slackers that are just, not doing anything with their lives, and make it funny, that's gonna attract, that's a male genre, I think of one female movie that's about. There isn't really one, not that I can think of. This was Kevin Smith's attempt to make one, to make a slacker movie, a stoner movie, but for girls. Okay, and I'm sorry, but the things that they're interested in just aren't the things that guys are interested in. And if you don't win the guys over in this genre, no one's going to go see it. The girls aren't going to go see it, And I think that's what this was. You got these two girls, the protagonists, Lily Rose Depp and Harley Quinn Smith, and they're basically just hate their lives. They're upset about everything. Harley Quinn Smith, she doesn't like her dad, her dad's girlfriend, They're just unhappy with their lives, and they're just standing around all day bitching and complaining about why their life isn't going the way they want it to. They belong in a band. They created their own band, and they like to play while they're at work, which they're not supposed to do. I guess they have a room hidden in the back or something, and they don't pay attention to their customers. They just sit around, stand there in the convenience store, and they bitch and bitch and bitch. They've got this like frustrated disposition throughout the entire movie. Like nothing's good enough for me. Nothing's good enough for anybody. Blah, 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 and it's just like, I can only watch this for so long. Dante and Randall, they were the same, but they kept their frustrations internal. You saw it on their face, but they weren't always constantly griping about how terrible their lives were. That's what Randall was there for. Randall was there to be optimistic, to be like, hey, let's find some other worthless shit to get excited about, and Don to be like, oh, what is it this time? So you had one guy trying to be optimistic and the other guy being pessimistic, okay? That's why the duality worked between those two. And this one, you've got two girls being pessimistic, okay? The only thing they like to do is yoga, and Justin Long plays a yoga instructor, and he's just like, dude, he's just like this Zen spiritualist Buddhist gay guy, and just like he just took the gay factor to the extreme. Now he played a gay guy in Zack and Miri Make a Porno, but he was like an average gay guy. This time he's just full blown gay, and I'm just like, okay, you know, it's just this isn't working for me. This isn't working for me. And then something about like there's little Nazis and stuff, little Nazi monsters. Just like it was. I mean, he was stoned when he wrote this movie. He was stoned when he made this movie. I'm sure everybody in the production was stoned while they were filming this movie, and everybody was stoned when they watched this movie. Okay, it was just like duh. The only good thing I can say about it was I do remember the character that Johnny Depp played in there. I kind of remember him. He had all this makeup on, so you couldn't tell it was Johnny Depp. But once he started talking, you could kind of see that he was doing a voice. It was Johnny Depp doing a voice. He played some sort of inspector or a private detective or some shit like that. He had a dumb French name, and he was funny. He was legit funny. I don't remember exactly what he said, but just the way he said it was just funny. So, and I think that guy actually popped up. Johnny Depp's character actually popped up in another movie later. I don't know, but he was that part was funny. The part that had him in it was funny. Okay, so I'll give it that. But otherwise, the movie's very forgettable. It was about nothing. These girls. I know Lily Rose Depp is blown up in Hollywood right now. She's writing her father's name all the way, and good for her. If she can do it, she's got talent. Then she needs to be up there. And I know Harley Quinn Smith too. She's trying to make it in Hollywood too. I know she was in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. The Quentin Tarantino movie, and she was in that. She played one of the Manson girls. So her career's on the up path as well. And I hope they make it. If they have some talent. But this vehicle is not the vehicle that's going to promote them to stardom. Not at all. Okay, this movie did them no favors, and they were not. I'm sorry, but they were not likable. They just weren't. They weren't memorable. They weren't. They didn't have the personality that made you want to attach to them. They didn't. They just had this frumpy, I hate the world disposition. Nothing is the way I want it to be, disposition. And just like, that's just not attractive. That's not, you can't really make a movie around that unless you've got a lot of strong supporting characters to go with it. And they didn't, So the movie's forgettable. And that's all I can say about that. After this happened for Kevin Smith, I think he started to see the writing on the wall. Hollywood didn't want to hire him anymore for stuff. They didn't want to spend a lot of money on him, knowing they're not going to get any money back. Okay, so I think at this time was when Kevin Smith really started doing his other thing. He started doing the podcast. He started leaning on the podcast. Now, he was already doing podcasts, but now he was really leaning on the podcast. That was starting to become his vehicle, not movies. Not even so much as speaking anymore. I mean, he still did that too. But the podcasts that he did with Ralph Garman, Fat Man on Batman, and I started listening to them. I mean, they were hilarious. He would talk to people in there, interview people, and he would just talk about Batman stuff. And some of the stuff he did was pretty good. I got to admit, I remember listening to his podcast after he watched The Dark Knight Rises, the one with Bane, I mean, that was hilarious, dude. His review of that was just hilarious as fun, I mean, they were imitating Bane on there, like, oh, Master Bruce, I want to say something right now that I once took a lot of sleeping pills, and I'm not going to say it wasn't on purpose. I mean, it's hilarious, So that stuff was funny. He was on point with that. The podcasts were hilarious. The Fat Man on Batman was hilarious. I like what he was doing with that. He was doing more speaking arrangements. He wasn't writing comic books anymore, but he started jumping into TV. Okay, and he also started jumping into shilling for the studios. Okay, now let me explain what this is. Okay, a shill, like I said before, Kevin Smith has by this time, there was so much press about him, like other actors. The Marvel movies were really coming up at this time. This is the early teens. The Marvel movies were big now. Superhero movies were big again. You got Man of Steel coming out, the Dark Knight movies. All that stuff is out and about and everywhere. Iron Man had already come out, so a lot of people, because there was so much focus on comic book movies now, that these writers, these journalists, these trade magazines were trying to seek out people that were into that stuff before it became big, and of course Kevin Smith was probably at one of the top of the list, because he'd been talking about comic books for 20 years by this time, 30 years by this time. So like they went to, for some reason they just went to him to ask him what he thought about comic books, and he became the litmus test for comic book movies. If Kevin Smith thought it was good, then that means they had official geek cred. and you could proceed, And they used him for quotes. They used him. They wanted to know what he thought about these superhero movies because he's a real geek, and other geeks listen to him, and we did. We did listen to him. I mean, me personally, I already had my own opinions on stuff, whether he agreed with it or not. But I still wanted to hear what he thought about it. Uh, so so he was getting a lot of clout with that. I remember like Chris Hemsworth. He did an interview once where he said like, you know what, when we did Thor: The Dark World, Kevin Smith didn't even like it. Okay, and if Kevin Smith doesn't like a superhero movie, there's something wrong. Okay, so he actually name dropped Kevin Smith. Okay, like Kevin Smith didn't like it. It ain't good. It ain't a good superhero movie. Okay, that's the kind of power that Kevin Smith had. That's the kind of influence he had. I don't think he really had power. Like a lot of people would just be like, okay, whatever, and do their own thing. But people were actively seeking Kevin Smith to find out what he thought about these superhero movies that were coming up. And of course he had a lot to say. Now Kevin Smith is mostly a DC guy. Batman's his favorite character. So if that Batman related, then he would just automatically tell you what he thought about it. If it was like a Marvel related, then you would have to pester him and ask him, okay, well, what do you think about this or that, So that's what was going on with him. And I remember that, I watched Batman versus Superman. I went to the theater, that was in 2016. I went to the theater to go see it. And opening day. And I walked out of that movie not really feeling good. Um, I thought Man of Steel was okay with Henry Cavill. I think it was okay. It wasn't great. It definitely wasn't anywhere near the Christopher Reeve Superman from 1978. But it was okay. It was okay. All right, it wasn't great. It was okay. Now remember, this is a year after Avengers. Avengers was mind-blowing, incredible. All right, and then a year after that, we get the Superman movie, the new Superman movie. Henry Cavill, and it was okay. They gave Zack Snyder the keys to the DC universe, which they never should have done. He ruined it, absolutely ruined it. But Kevin Smith did his review, and he's in there talking about it. He's all excited like I am right now. Oh, yeah, great! And Batman shows up. My friend, Ben Affleck's my friend, and then and then midway through the review, he's like, so exciting. Now I know what you're thinking right now. Am I stoned? Of course I am. But anyway, so I'm like, okay, so he's stoned. Okay, so he's stoned while he's doing this review. Okay, I'm not stoned, by the way. Like, I don't do drugs. Okay, but so he stops the interview. He stops the review just to tell you that he's stoned. And that's why he's so excited. And he can proceed with the review. Okay, so you want me to take your opinion seriously. You're stoned out of your mind. And you're going to, talk in front of the camera like I'm doing right now. And you're going to tell me what this movie that just opened, what it's all about. Not a way to do a review. And, of course, he said it was perfect. Everything was great. Martha's scene was awesome. Ben Affleck had nailed it. Jesse Eisenberg was incredible as Lex Luthor, blah, blah. And, dude, we didn't see the same movie. Okay, we did not see the same movie because this movie was a piece of shit. And the fact that I love superhero movies and I've been so excited to see a movie with Batman and Superman in it together, and I knew that the Justice League was going to show up in it. I knew that Wonder Woman was going to be in it. I knew they were going to have cameos with The Flash and with Cyborg and with Aquaman. I knew Doomsday was going to be in it because that was in the trailer. They announced Ben Affleck was going to be Batman, and we all laughed at that. But then then he won me over. That was the only good thing about the movie was Ben Affleck's portrayal of Batman. Unfortunately, he threw that down the shitter in Justice League. But in this one, he was decent. Everything else about the movie just sucked. It was stupid. It made no sense. Everything. And I'm not going to go into the review about it right now. But the movie was terrible, and Kevin Smith was saying it was great. Okay, red flags there. Red flags. I'm like, we couldn't have seen the same movie. And I remember. When Star Wars: The Force Awakens was being made and they're promoting the hell out of that thing, that came out in 2015. Kevin Smith, of course, on his podcast, I went to the Star Wars set. I was there when they were filming it. And let me tell you, it was unbelievable. I felt like a little boy again. When I was on that set, it looked just like when I was a little boy in 1977. And my dad took me to the theater. I felt that way again. Oh, but J.J. Abrams showed me around. It was incredible. I'm going to tell you something. This movie's going to blow you away. Unbelievable, And then, of course, he was actually in the movie himself. He was one of the stormtroopers. He was in the stormtrooper gear. He was the one in The Force Awakens. Kevin Smith was the one that pulled out that glimmer stick or whatever, that stick to fight. What's his name? Finn. Finn had the lightsaber. That's when old Han Solo was there and all that. Like he was in that. He was in the movie. And he was talking about how incredible it was, the experience, and how much it's going to blow everybody away. Like, oh my God, Star Wars is back, and he's so excited. Blah blah. And then I saw The Force Awakens. And I walked out of the theater thinking like, I've seen this movie before. Can't put my finger on it, but I feel like I've already seen this movie. Why did I feel that way? And then I saw it again. Then I realized, oh, well, okay, well, I mean, someone needs to say it. It's a fucking ripoff of A New Hope. It's the same goddamn movie. You take the script, you take some white out, and you take away, okay, instead of Tatooine, it'll be Jakku. Instead of Luke, it'll be Rey. Instead of Darth Vader, it'll be Kylo Ren, okay? Instead of Death Star, we're gonna call it a Star Killer. What the fuck? It's the same fucking movie. You know, like this is what you're, and Kevin Smith told me it was gonna be incredible. He said that. Did we see the same movie, Kevin? Because this wasn't incredible. You know, and then Justice League rolls around. Same fucking thing. Oh, it's been great. Oh my God, the performances. Oh, you're gonna love Aquaman. Oh, the Flash. They got the Flash right, and you know, he was talking about how great it was. You know, and then I saw Justice League, and I'm like, this is a piece of shit. I mean, by this time we already knew there was trouble in paradise. You know, DC Comics, they already They said that he left because his daughter committed suicide, but the truth is that DC fired Zack Snyder. Batman v Superman did not make nearly as much money as they needed it to make compared to the other superhero movies that were out there. I mean, Guardians of the Galaxy made more money than Batman v Superman, okay? Deadpool made more money than Batman v Superman, okay? So yeah, so he already finished filming Justice League. So they booted him out and they replaced him with Joss Whedon, the guy that did the Avengers movies. You know, he did Avengers and Avengers: Age of Ultron. He got fired by Marvel too. They don't want him anymore, which is a good thing because now we know all about his like sexual abuse scandal. But and so DC picked him up and said, hey, we want you because you've proven yourself. We want you to make this shit movie Zack Snyder filmed and make it into something good like you did with the Avengers, And then if you do that, we're going to give you Batgirl. You can get your own movie. So, of course, he said, yeah, I'll do it. So he added a bunch of jokes in there and changed the coloring, You've seen it. And, it was crap. It was crap. It was. There was a couple of good things in it, but for the most part, this was not exciting. We'd already seen Avengers: Age of Ultron by this time. This was way below that, okay? We'd already seen Captain America: Civil War, and that was way above Justice League. Much better movie than Justice League. So we were not impressed, okay? But of course, Kevin Smith was talking about how great it was. Oh, it's incredible. Oh, I loved it. Best superhero movie ever seen. And by this time, the media, YouTube, and all that, we all started talking amongst ourselves. Like, okay, you know what? I don't think Kevin Smith is being honest here. Because around this time, Kevin Smith was trying to direct again. He'd written some books and stuff, so he'd already been published, but he was trying to direct. And I don't think anybody was going to give him a movie. So he was creeping up around the DC offices, and he would hang out with the right people like Greg Berlanti and stuff, the guys that do the Arrowverse TV shows. And he'd be, hey, you know what I thought about Arrow? I thought it was good, In fact, when I'm doing my podcast, I might just say it was good, in return for something. Now, this is all speculation. This is just based on what I've seen. I'm making these determinations. This might not be the case. I don't know. But based on, what I've seen, this is what I think happened. Okay, I think that he got in with Warner Brothers, with Disney, because they were doing Star Wars. And he basically said, hey, listen, people pay attention to me. And and so I will say great things about your properties, about all your projects. I will tell all my fans how great this shit is. In return, you got to give me some directing jobs. I think that's what happened. In fact, I'm pretty sure that's exactly what happened. Because next thing you know, after he said all these wonderful things about Batman v Superman, he started directing episodes of Supergirl and The Flash. He started hosting DC live events. All this stuff started happening for him, after he started saying great things about these things. It's a quid pro quo. You rub my back, I rub yours. So, but a lot of us were catching on by this time. We were like, oh, Kevin Smith said it was good, but what Kevin Smith says isn't what it doesn't have as much weight as it used to. If Kevin Smith says something was good back in the early 2000s, that meant that it was good. But Kevin Smith says something is good now, that means that whoever made this property that he's talking about offered him something to say that. That's what it is, okay? He wants to get in there with Disney, so of course he's not going to trash talk anything from Disney. Now, some people started calling him out on this. They started calling, hey, Kevin Smith, hey, you're a shill, And then Kevin Smith would respond. He responded on his podcast, like, hey, listen, you know what? The truth is, there are things I don't like. I just don't talk about them. If I like something, I talk about it. If I don't like it, I ain't saying nothing. That's it. Well, he's got a lot of things that he does like, and the stuff that he was saying he liked wasn't any good. It really wasn't. So for me, it was like he really started to lose my favor right at that point. I can take him being getting stoned and making some terrible movies. I can take him, using his clout to get some acting jobs. I mean, not acting jobs, but some directing jobs. Okay, of course he's going to do that. That's how Hollywood's run. It's that kind of a business. It's not who you blow. It's who you know. So I get it. I get why he's doing it. Okay, he's got a family. Well, he's got a wife to support. His daughter's already grown, but I'm sure he's got a trust fund for her or something. So, I get why he's doing it, but just don't lie to me about it. Don't tell me something's good when you know goddamn well it's not, because you're going to lose your credibility. And he started down that dark path, and that's what he started to do. He started losing his credibility with us. We started not really. I quit listening to his podcast so much. I used to watch Fat Man on Batman, that he did with I forgot the name, the black guy, and not Ralph Garman, but the other guy, and he was basically just shilling. He was just basically doing a commercial for these big Warner Brothers and Disney properties. He wasn't telling you what he really thought. He was telling you what they wanted him to say so that they could hire him. And to me, that's shilling. That's not, you're not being honest. The people that put you up where you are the fans. We loved you. We loved your universe of movies. We loved your humor. We loved the fact that you were geeks like us. You represented us. Okay, you were the geek that we all knew that made it to Hollywood. Our voice was in Hollywood now. We actually had a representative, an avatar, if you will, in Hollywood to tell these people about us, about what we like. And now you're selling out. Now you're fucking saying what they want you to say. You're a fucking politician now. We elected you to represent us. And all you care about now is yourself. Fuck us. It's about what you can get out of it. You see, and that's what happened to him. That's when I started losing my respect for him. And I wasn't the only one. Everybody started, all of us geeks started calling him out. Like, wait a minute, this is, this is getting pretty bad, So yeah, we started losing our respect for him around that time. Once he started saying shit like The Last Jedi was great. Okay, dude, fuck you. Fuck you, The Last Jedi was great. Everyone knows, every diehard Star Wars fans knows that movie was a big piece of fucking shit in which Lucasfilm has never recovered from. Never recovered from. Star Wars is a fucking joke now because of Last Jedi. Okay, and because of Kathleen Kennedy. But Kevin Smith's not going to tell you that because he wants them to employ him. You see what I mean? He wants to be a part of Lucasfilm. He's friends with Mark Hamill. Of course he wants to be in there. That's his dream come true. So he's gonna bullshit everybody, all of us, you, so that he can be in good with Kathleen Kennedy. Same thing with Disney. Same thing with Warner Brothers. He's in there. He's in there for himself. He's not in there for us anymore. And once you reach that level, fuck you too. You mean nothing to me now. Your word means shit. Maybe it used to back in the day, but not anymore. You've lost your credibility. You've lost your respect. And I don't respect you anymore. Now, this is how I feel today in 2021, okay? Last year, I was leaning this way, but I wasn't all there yet. I'll tell you what threw me over the edge. I'll tell you right now, okay? And I already made a video about it, okay? Masters of the fucking Universe. Okay, that's it, dude. That's it. I've written off Kevin Smith. Fuck you. Fuck you and your Masters of the Universe. That's not fucking Masters of the Universe. This fucker never watched a goddamn episode of He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. He doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. They gave him the job because he's a geek. Because they still think that he's relevant in the geek world, and he's not anymore. He's a total fucking sellout. Everybody knows it. All of us geeks know it, but the executives in Hollywood and Netflix, they don't know it. They think he's still important. They still think that we listen to him. So they gave him He-Man. He's thinking to himself, oh, yo, ka-ching, paycheck, now I can make Clerks 3. See? That's how he got the money to make Clerks 3. He agreed to do He-Man. Fuckery has been caught on video many times saying, I never watched He-Man. I didn't care about He-Man. I don't like He-Man. Of course, he backtracks it now. Oh, yeah, well, I mean, people's opinions can change. He fucking lied. He threw Clownfish TV under the bus when they cracked the story. This isn't He-Man. This is Tila. This is the Tila show. You're going to get rid of He-Man. It's all going to be all about Tila. You know, Clownfish TV cracked that story, and he responded to them like, oh, you don't know what the hell you're talking about, and blah, 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 and I know He-Man, and you don't know anything, and, blah, 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 and you're lying. Blah. Well, it turns out Kevin Smith was lying. Okay, and after we all saw that god-awful abomination of He-Man, of Masters of the Universe Revelation Part 1, when we saw that piece of shit, He-Man with no He-Man in it, and then we said, like, you fucking lied to us. You promised us He-Man. This isn't He-Man. He-Man's fucking dead. He fucking died. You killed him off in the first episode. And he doesn't show up again. You got rid of Skeletor in the first episode. This is Tila. This is all about Tila and a couple of select characters that don't fucking matter. Like Scareglow. Who the fuck gives a shit about Scareglow? Nobody. I didn't even know who the fuck he was. And I used to watch He-Man when I was a kid. I watched every episode. And then he comes out with this new one last week. He-Man Revelations Part 2. He promised us, give me a chance. When Part 2 comes out, you're really going to see. I told you all along, it's all about He-Man. It's all about He-Man. I love He-Man. And then I fucking watched this shit. And what does He-Man say in the last episode? When he grabs Skeletor, he says, this isn't about us! And he throws it. It's about Evil Lyn. They turned fucking Evil Lyn into a fucking hermaphrodite. Into a fucking man. She-Man. Or they call him Evil Lyn. What the fuck, man? You just fucking lied out your fucking ass. Before now, we thought you were lying. We thought you were making this shit up. A part of us still believe, maybe he really does believe this. Maybe he really thought Batman vs. Superman was a good movie. Maybe he really did. But now, there's no fucking doubt. You're a fucking liar, dude. You're a fucking piece of shit liar. All you care about is yourself, supporting your fucking wife, and boosting your daughter's career. And you did it off of our backs. Those of us that supported you, that believed in you. Now you're just a fucking sellout. A fucking sellout so you can make your fucking Clerks 3, which nobody's gonna go fucking see. Just like nobody went to go see Jay and Silent Bob reboot. I saw it. I bought that movie for you. And I saw it. And it wasn't as good as the other ones, but I saw it, but I bought it because I loved you. I don't love you anymore. We're broken up. God. Anyway. That's how I feel about Kevin Smith. And that's where he's at right now. And the only reason they made this Clerk documentary is because he's trying to make money for Clerks 3. And he was kind of hoping that the fact that the He-Man Masters of the Universe and this Clerk documentary came out around the same time, just to draw more attention to himself, so that you can get more interest for Clerks 3. That's why this documentary exists, and that's what I think about Kevin Smith. Anyway, sorry I got emotional, but I'm sorry, you know, how the mighty have fallen. Anyway, this is Diego, and thank you for watching my video.